So welcome back everyone. Today we're going to do solving systems of linear equations in three variables. Let's begin. All right, so this is our first example. And the very first thing that you want to do is to ensure that you number them on the side so that you don't get confused. Now, we're going to do this by the process of elimination, and there are really different ways to approach this. As you can see, here, right here, you have a negative 1x, and here you have a positive 1x. So you can eliminate x by adding if you want that. But look at this, you can also eliminate the y if you want that, either using 1 and 2, 2 or 3, or 1 and 3. I'm going to use eliminating the y. Okay, that's just how my brain is working today. So I'm going to eliminate the y and I'm going to use equations 2 and 3. Let's begin. So labeling is so important. So eliminate y, use 2 and 3. Make sure to write that down so that you don't get confused. In this particular case, since I'm eliminating negative 5 and positive 5, what you're going to do is to add them in order for this to become 0. All right, so 4x plus 1x, so you know there's a 1 there, that becomes 5x. And then negative 5y plus positive 5y becomes a 0. And then 4z plus negative 1z is positive 3z. Let's now go to this one. 19 plus negative 20 is negative 1. So now let's just fix it. So 5x plus 3z equals negative 1. I'm going to call this equation 4. Now, because you want the x and the z now left, you will have to pick two equations here where you can also eliminate the same thing, the y, in order for the x and the z to be left. And in this case, I'm going to use equations 1 and 2 in order to again eliminate the y. In this particular case, since your y's since the coefficients have the same signs, you're going to have to subtract. Okay, again, labeling is very important. And so now let's do it. So this is negative 1 minus positive 4 is going to be a negative 5x. Okay. And so now negative 5y minus negative 5y, something minus itself becomes a 0. And then now negative 5z plus positive 4z becomes a negative 9z. And then 2 minus 19 is negative 17. Let's just fix this. All right. I want you to notice that the negative 5 here and the positive 5 here are additive inverses. And so what we're going to do is to use equations 4 and 5 in order to eliminate the x by adding. All right, so I'm eliminating the x using equations 4 and 5. So here, 5x plus negative 5x is going to be a 0. And then 3z plus negative 9z is going to be a negative 6z. And then this is going to be negative 18. And now we are almost done. We're just going to go ahead and divide both sides by negative 6. All right, so negative 6 divided by negative 6 is just going to be a z. And then negative 18 divided by negative 6 is a positive 3. So z is 3. We're just going to go ahead and use that to solve for x this time because I want to use either of these two so that I can plug in the 3 in the z and then solve for x. I think I'm going to use equation 4. Okay, now we're going to plug in z in place of the z here. I've always taught you that whenever you're doing something like this, you are going to go ahead and copy all these characters. But the moment you see that variable where you will have something plugged in, you need to change that to a parenthesis so that it's easy for you to just plug it in inside. And so now this is 5x plus 3z, but instead of z, that's going to be parentheses equals negative 1. And then now it's just easy for me to plug that in that parentheses. So now you just have 5x plus 9 equals negative 1, and 9 goes to the other side, and that becomes a negative 9, like this. All right, so 5x is left here. Positive 9 goes to the other side and becomes negative 9, and then -1 gets copied down over, and so this becomes 5x equals -10. And then all over 5 both sides. And so now you know that x is -2. We're now going to use the z and the x in any of these in order for us to solve for the y. So I think I'm going to use equation 3. All right, so copy down the equation and then change up the z and the x to parentheses like this. So x becomes parentheses because we're going to plug in -2 inside it later. And then copy down the plus, 5y minus z again turns to a parentheses equals -20. Plug in -2 in place of x, and then plug in the 3 in place of the z, and then solve. So this becomes -2 plus 5y minus 3 equals -20. And then you want the 5y to be isolated on this side and all these -2 and -3 to move to the other side. So -20 plus 2 plus 3 is 5y equals -15. All right. Divide by 5, both sides. And so your y is a -3. And so our solutions are -2 for x, -3 for y, and +3 for z. Now let's do the checking. Okay, so I decided to use equation 1 to do the checking, which is -x minus 5y minus 5z equals 2. All those variables are now going to change to parentheses, and we're going to plug in the values of x, y, and z. And so this is your x, this is your y, and this is your z. So -x now turns to negative parentheses, and you will keep on copying. So copy the minus, copy the 5. When you go to the y, make sure that it becomes a parentheses. Again, you're going to copy the minus, the 5, and the z again becomes a parentheses. And then now we're going to start plugging. Again, this is your x, this is your y, and this is your z. So this -2 goes in here, -3 goes in here, and the +3 goes in here. Okay, like this. So let's begin the process of simplifying. So this is negative with negative, that becomes +2. -5 times -3 is +15. -5 times +3 is -15. All right, so this becomes a 0, and your answer is 2 equal to 2. So it's a check.